I'd like to discuss the concept of crew autonomy. This has to deal with a crew off in a frontier environment working to get the mission done, but not having to check back with the mission control every 5 minutes. And an example of this, a good working example of this, is how scientists and engineers operate in Antarctica. It's very much a frontier. It's a harsh environment. If you don't manage things correctly, it could be life-threatening. And what we did in Antarctica when I had the good fortune of being there for a 2-month stay, we would start off in the morning with a short brief. Everybody would get to work, and we would work until it was lunchtime. We'd eat our lunch together and discuss a few things, get back to work, and then at the end of the day, we would do a short debrief, and then we'd all disappear in our tents to keep from freezing in the minus 40-degree weather. On station, it's a little different. We start off in the morning with a debrief, or with a brief, and then we have a timeline, and we call it following the red line, because there's a red line that marches through your day, and you will have every 5 to 15 minute time period scheduled for something to do. And then at the end of the day, you have a debrief and discuss how things work. So there's similarities, but the crew does not have the autonomy to figure out how to organize and work your day. You have to check in with mission control, oftentimes on 5-minute type schedules, and you have to follow the red line and work whatever people on the ground have told you to do. And when we move away from Earth, we're going to have to adopt, I think, a model more like how we work in Antarctica, where the crew have to be professional. They have to be skilled in what needs to be done. And you could be given directions in terms of what you want to accomplish. And then you leave the crew alone so that they can get these tasks accomplished. If they have questions, of course, you can communicate back. If you don't have too much of a time lag due to the time of flight of radio waves, for example, going to Mars, you may have an hour time period between when you ask a question and when you get an answer back. But you need this autonomy for the crew to work efficiently and get your job done. There's another aspect of autonomy, and that has to do with managing the logistics of your resources. Do you bring everything you could possibly use with you, or do you bring tools and some raw materials and then make and or manufacture the things that you need along the way? And when the New World was settled from continental Europe, they brought tools with them. They didn't bring trees from Europe to the New World and build things out of the trees that they brought. They brought the tools to cut the trees down and make the things that you needed in the New World. And it's worth thinking about our current space paradigm, where we bring everything from planet Earth in a highly manufactured, highly assembled form. And you look at the magnitude of spare parts and supplies you would need for a mission like that if you're going to be gone 2 or 3 or 4 years to a faraway place like Mars, as opposed to bringing the fundamental tools you need and the fundamental supplies you need, and then counting on either building up equipment and repairing it as it breaks down, or getting the essential materials that you need by the multi-ton, like water and rocket propellant and things like that, bricks. You don't want to bring bricks from Earth to make your structures on Mars or the moon. You'll want to make your bricks from the local resources. So the brute force and ignorance materials, these are materials that have value simply because of their physical state or bulk chemical composition. Those are thades that you will need by the hundreds of metric tons, and it would be advantageous to figure out how to get those from where you're going rather than bring them from Earth. And you bring your computer chips and thades like that, which are hard to manufacture in a frontier environment. You bring those kind of components with you, and then all the tools for soldering these thades up and fixing your avionics and electronics and welders and things like that, so you can repair your spacecraft and or build new things from the materials that you have. So that's a different level of autonomy. It's different than our current space exploration paradigm. And if we want to thrive with a robust exploration program, I believe we need to move more in this direction.